like the way you put it, that Gen Z is growing up in a therapeutic environment. So everybody needs therapy. Everybody needs people, society. They're looking to society
They need to be affirmed.
to affirm them. Yes, and we got to talk about this earlier in the week, but I got to go back to social media playing a huge part in this, MD, as far as Gen Z being and Gen Alpha, I think, is the one after them. Each subsequent generation is going to be more and more expressive, where there is no value. They see no value in privacy. My generation might be one of the last few that kind of transitioned into social media, still has this value that they place on privacy, and knowing that the more you put yourself out there, the more susceptible you are to society as a whole, and that includes criticisms and encouragements, positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. What do you think about how much has social media factored into that?
Oh, man, it's huge. I mean, it is the main platform by which people express themselves. So you even wonder with some of these people who are offering their celebrations, and some of them are getting fired or being reprimanded
over
by their
Charlie
bosses
Kirk.
over
Yep.
Charlie Kirk. Yeah, they're celebrating the assassination, then coming into real world consequences for something that they said online, and they're kind of acting like they're a victim in this. You didn't have to say anything.
And they're shocked.
Yeah.
They're shocked.
But they believe they did have to say something in order to express this aspect of who they truly are. They have to represent themselves a certain way. And so they have to have an opinion on things that happen in the moment.
I think one reason for that is because we went from like millennials saying, I need my safe space on campus, to Gen Zers believing they've got to go to the front seat of a car and video them ranting about something and posting it on social media. And to your point about Gen Zers, and don't get me wrong, Gen Zers, I'm a millennial. We're emotional people too.
I don't know how many are listening, Chris.
Right.
So.
but like to your guys' point here, it's not an exaggeration to say that Gen Zers are emotional people, because in a story we have today on AFN.net, Bronson Woodruff covered this for us. There's a new report out that finds 71% of managers say their Gen Z employees expect to receive praise for performing basic tasks. They require positive reinforcement for meeting the bare minimum, and 6 in 10 employers say Gen Zers perform better with more praise. When they get constructive criticism or negative feedback, 3 in 10 managers say their employees have cried. 38% say Gen Zers have called out sick the next day, or 10% were contacted by the Gen Z workers' parents.
Oh boy,
I'm blown
goodness.
away by that.
you mentioned what's probably most disturbing are people sharing themselves crying. The videos they'll record of themselves just weeping or crying and sharing intimate details of their life. And there used to be a sense in society of you just don't. That's supposed to be private, right?
Sure.
It's supposed to be between,
Or maybe with some friends.
or with
something.
some friends, right? And that's just that's just gone because, like you said, they're looking for the world, so to speak, to offer them, some type of encouragement or reassurance. They're just looking anywhere else.
Yeah.
And they're finding out that they're not going to get it from the world. They are, because they've been in an echo chamber, they're getting it from their little clan.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're expecting the world to applaud for them crying or venting, now they're finding out that their boss and other people, or their universities, finding out. And guess what? The world, what you thought was the world, was just your little group.
Right.
And now you're facing the consequences of having bled your feelings out and deeply offended what we would consider the broader community.
Well, that's the double-edged sword of this expressive individualism. If that was an expression of who you truly are, then your hatred of Charlie Kirk and your celebration of actual murder is an expression of who you are as well. And so that is kind of the frightening state that we're in. Now, obviously, I mean, people are desensitized. They're not always thinking rationally. They've just kind of assumed that they had perfect immunity with whatever they said online. But still, it is a reflection of the heart in some ways, what people are saying. And they're coming up to that, against that reality.
Well, I've seen two kinds of consequences here that have kind of driven this point you're making home. Okay, one is in response to teachers who have celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. I've seen a lot of comments when these people get fired, be put on leave, people saying, why would I want someone who believes this and does this to be teaching my kid?
Right.
Okay, that's kind of like the real world fallout of what they have said. And then you have the just other general employers whose firing of these individuals is based on this idea. Why would I want someone who acts this way to represent my company?
Yeah.
And so these people are expressing themselves wanting applause, Chris, to your point, wanting applause for saying something and believing this, and they're finding out that the corruption that's in their own heart, they wouldn't call it that, has real world consequences because people are looking at that and going, I don't want you anywhere near my kids or my business.
In 70 years' time, we went from the me generation to the look at me generation, and now we're at the look at me and praise me generation, and Gen X is just going, I just wish somebody would remember our generation. I mean, like, it's where we are in America.